Good morning, everybody, to those students in L1 at the Faculté des Lettres in Mulhouse University. We're going to do a short video on the idea of poetry for your task in week 3 about Spenser and the poem that is chosen from the Amoretti, One Day I Wrote Her Name Upon the Strand. Okay, so first of all, a reminder that I asked you to look in your books, les grandes classiques de la littérature anglaise et américaine by Castix and Jumeau, and these books you will need to pass this course. So please, if you haven't got yours already, get one PDQ. Okay, here we go then. First of all, looking at the form of poetry, there's a technical section that you'll find on page 10 that will be extremely useful for this idea of versification. Now, this doesn't happen in French poetry because in French poetry, as in the French language, most of the syllables are given even stress. This is not the same in English poetry. It depends very much on rhythm. This has what we call stressed and unstressed syllable, which is what you would normally call in grammar l'accent tonique. And use of this helps us to understand a lot better the rhythm of English poetry. So I know it's a little bit technical, but you need to look at it over and over again, especially pages 10, 11 and 12, 13 and 14. Okay, so first of all, it's got nothing to do with grammar. It's got nothing to do with the meaning of the words themselves. It's completely based on how they sound. So you need to be able to distinguish between the iambic, the trochaic, the spondaic, the pyrrhic rhythm, etc. Anapestic, dactylic come a little bit later. They're 3 syllables. To be able to do this, what you need to do is to just read the poem out loud. And you should be able to understand which syllables are stressed and which syllables are unstressed. I'll read the poem to you in a slightly didactic form, so it sounds a little bit more evident to work out which poems are stressed, which syllables are stressed and which are unstressed. Okay, so you'll find your poem on page 23 of your books. And this is the one taken from the collection called the Amoretti, which means little love poems, by Ibn Spenser. One day I wrote her name upon the strand, but came the waves and washed it away. Again I wrote it with a second hand, but came the tide and made my pains his prey. Vain man, said she, that dost in vain essay a mortal thing so to immortalize, for I myself shall like to this decay, and ere my name be wiped out likewise. Not so, quod I, let baser things devise to die in dust, but you shall live by fame. My verse your virtues rare shall eternize, and in the heavens write your glorious name. Where when as death shall all the world subdue, our love shall live, and later life renew. Now, if you read this out in a slightly more pedantic way, you need to read it aloud. It doesn't work if you read it to yourself. You need to read it aloud. So read it to your dog or your cat or your hairbrush or whatever thing you love in life. And make sure you can hear the syllables that are stressed. If we just do the first couplet, one day I wrote her name upon the strand, but came the waves and washed it away. Again I wrote it with a second hand, but came the tide and made my pains his prey. Now I think it's quite clear that day, wrote, name and strand are stressed syllables. The rest are unstressed. Came, waves, wash, it, way are stressed syllables. The rest are unstressed. So if we were to write it down in binary, the unstressed would be 0 and the stressed would be 1. So we've got 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay. Again, I wrote it with a second hand. Again, wrote with sec hand. But came the tide and made my pains his prey. Came, tide, made, pains, prey. These are all stressed syllables. The rest are unstressed. So if you'd write in pencil, if you can't write a kind of 1 above the stressed syllables and a 0 above the unstressed syllables, you'll find yourself with a binary rhythm 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay. So if we go back and look at page 11, we find that we're dealing here with an iambic rhythm, okay? One day I wrote her name upon the strand. Dee-dee, 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 dee-dee. You can hear the stress easily if you read the poem out loud. And so this, we say, has an iambic rhythm. The amount of feet, let's say, that we have. So if we say that the iamb is unstressed stressed as 0, 1, we have this repeated 5 times, and we call this a 5 feet line or a pentameter. So put the two together and you end up with what we would know as an iambic pentameter. I know this sounds a bit technical, but if you read this through and you have some idea of what's going on, then you would do it. If you look at example number 2, the trochaic rhythm, it's totally different. The stressed syllable is the first syllable, and the unstressed is the second. Sing a song of sixpence, a pocket full of rye, 24 blackbirds baked in a pie. Okay, sing a song of sixpence would be written 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, because you have the stressed syllable on sing, song, 6, and then 4, 20, black. So you would write this 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. Okay? Spondaic rhythm is easy. It's 2 stressed syllables. Rocks, caves, lakes, fens, bogs, dens, and shades of death. You got a couple of iambs creeping in at the end here. But rocks, caves, lakes, fens. A spondee is 2 stressed syllables. Pyrrhic rhythm, we very rarely use this. Let's carry on. Anapestic rhythm is a little bit the big sister of the iambic rhythm. And it says 0, 0, 1, so unstressed, unstressed, stressed, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum. Okay, this is a swift and light rhythm, a little bit like a horse's canter. The Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold. The Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold. Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold. You hear? Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold. Those are where your stresses are. The rest are unstressed. And we call this an anapestic rhythm. It's got 3 syllables in it, unlike the iambic, which has 2, but it's a little bit the big sister. Dactylic rhythm is the same thing for the trochee. It's take her up tenderly. Da, 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 da. It's the waltz rhythm. If you know how to waltz, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know how to waltz, then get your grandma to teach you. Right. Here you have the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So stressed, unstressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, unstressed. Okay, and we write this 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1 corresponding to the stressed syllable. And then you have a little bit the trimeter, a little bit about the verse patterns in English, and how to measure the meter. I think that's a little bit easier. Okay, so just a little recap. It's got nothing to do, this stressed and unstressed syllables, it's got nothing to do with the grammar. We can't always say that nouns are stressed and verbs are unstressed, or prepositions are never stressed. It doesn't work like that. But it gives the rhythm of English poetry, English-speaking poetry, let's say. If we go back to our poem. One day I wrote her name upon the strand, but came the waves and washed it away. Again I wrote it with a second hand, but came the tide and made my pains his prey. You can hear it, can't you? It's a kind of reggae rhythm, and the stress is on the second one, the upbeat, da-da, one day. You listen to Bob Marley, you know what I'm talking about, okay? So this is, stop laughing. This is how we versify poetry in English, by listening to the rhythm, listening to where the stresses come. It's not like the Alexandrian in French poetry where you just have 12 feet. C'est ici le combat du jour et de la nuit. Okay, that's Victor Hugo for you. That's all got the stressed rhythm. But here we have different stresses, unstressed and stressed. So I hope this video has helped you a little bit. Go back and read the poem out loud several times. Read it to your parents, read it to your sisters and brothers, read it to your cat and dog, and you will hear the stresses coming around. You won't say, one day I wrote. No, it's one day I wrote her name upon the strand. Feel the music, feel the rhythm, and you've got it. Okay. Bonne chance, bonne continuation. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.